What's up, guys? Sawtooth Dave here. I did a little funky video because why not? Carrying the heaters today. It always seems like Sunday's the heater day for me. Not sure why, but I always like carrying those on Sundays. Dig them both. POW, MOW. Not a normal size carry. So I guess what I want to do today is kind of more like, I've seen a lot of people do battles of smaller, or battles of certain knives, whatever, but these are all around the outside here. A small knives that I usually don't really talk about really much on the channel. They're really not in my wheelhouse for the most part. When I consider a small knife, that POW is more like this one I call a small knife. Although I own all these somehow, currently anyhow. I may not long term, but for right now. So let's kind of put them in here, line them all up, and whatever else. So I'm gonna tell who I get through and got them through or from, or if I can remember, and then basic story. So this is from Mitch Bowling. I went over it in my other video. This is a Ohio Riverjack. I don't know which exactly it is, other than it's full tie, and I believe it's M390. I don't have my glasses on because I'm an idiot. I should probably take my sunglasses off too so I can actually see something. Maybe you'll see something. The Ohio Riverjack slip joint. This is the only slip joint in the whole collection, but it's definitely the smallest little chunky guy that I got. And then this is DPX Test Urban Hest. This one came from my buddy Aaron. This does have a BGM regrind. I did put titanium thumb studs on it, and I tuned it to have a much stronger detent. So compared to like a normal one, this is definitely gonna have a snappier little action. See if I can show you. A lot of lock bar pressure. I don't know if you saw that snap in, but I generally like a lot of lock bar pressure, not less. I like more. For some reason, I like that boom lock up and that feel of it. This is the Spyderco stovepipe. This one actually was a loan in from a buddy Nick Edwards behind the edge, and it got lost in shipping on the way back to him, and luckily it made it back to me somehow. So it ended up becoming my knife because I just paid for him when it got lost in shipping because I wasn't gonna mess with that. And you get someone's knife, you got to make it right. That's why I feel about it anyhow. So this one became mine. I've lent it to a couple of people. I keep threatening on doing mods to it, and I may just take it in there in a minute here and do something to it, because now that I'm looking at it, I kind of want to do other stuff to it. But the main thing on this one is the little pokey pokes. Everything seems to be a little bit more abrasive than what I like sharper angles and that stuff. It just needs to be rounded out. Other than that, like, it's actually a decent knife, and I did increase lock bar pressure on this one. This one's on phosphor bronze, if I didn't already mention it. That's a bearing knife there. I don't have a clue. I guess that's phosphor bronze, but I've never even had that apart yet, but I will eventually. Keeping on the theme of my knives anyhow, this is the 187 RMP. They don't make this one anymore. I did make the tie scale for this one, and you guessed it, I increased the lock bar pressure. Why? Because I'm an idiot and I like it that way. But this is probably out of all the ones I show you, the shittiest detent. Like, it needs a better detent. I need to work on that, get that figured out. But I did refinish blast all of this, both sides on this one and the clip, and now it's where I want it. So that's that one. And this one came from, where did that one came from? I can't remember. I think I got that one off Reddit or something. This one came from my buddy Aaron as well, and this is a Marauder drop point in D2. I don't know, it was exclusive for somebody, and I know Aaron told me, and I just can't remember. I don't think I've really done a whole lot with this one other than just get it from Aaron. I think he was selling it, and I was kind of interested in just having another Medford at the time, so I just jumped on it. It's unique. My wife calls this the gift wrapping. The anodize and stuff, which kind of does look like gift wrapping. And this one here is the Infraction, and I got this one from Brass Brigade Jason. Before you guys knew him as a knife maker and a knife designer and all that stuff, Jason was just a knife bro like the rest of us, and still is. But at that time, that's all he had done. He was trying to save up to get money to design the knife, or to get the knife moving, and ended up buying a couple Medfords from him, and this one came from him. I did make the clip on this one. Did change hardware, some of the hardware and stuff in this one, and I've changed back and forth a couple times on it. But this is one that I love and I hate at the same time. Like, sometimes I pick it up and it works, but it's just like, I don't know. The ergos are weird for my hand size. I guess it's small. I almost have to learn how to use it, but it's got good action out of all the Medfords that I have, the little Medfords. Out of all these three, I guess I should say. That's the best action. That's the worst action. It's kind of in the middle. Easy to deploy. That's probably the hardest to deploy, though. Those two are easier. Anyway, those are my Medfords. We didn't really talk about all of them. We're going to have a scrimp battle here, aren't we? Yeah, let's have the battle of the scrimps. So the way I kind of cleaved it up, divvied it up, if you will. This one came from Steve Clare as well. Well, I didn't even mention that yet. Let's see. Yeah, this is Steve Clair's. This is the Guardian or Bradford. I gotta look through the camera because I can't really tell what I'm seeing here. G3F. Yeah, G3F. And I've done a couple little snippets on this one, but super snappy detent, super snappy, but it's just a flipper. This one is bearings. I believe it's bearings. It wasn't bearings when I took it apart. Shit, I can't remember. Don't quote me on it. I'll take it apart again and let you know. And then this is also from Mr. Clair. This is the SBK Lamia, and this one's on phosphor bronze. So both the bling blingies are from Steve Clair. And kind of how I looked at it. Oh yeah, and this one, forgot about this one. This is from a buddy of mine. I'm not going to mention who it is because he don't really want his name mentioned. But we're gonna, in his place, we'll use my buddy JD, because JD is always talking about this knife. He has the exact same variant of this knife. So in place of, we're going to call it JD's knife. Okay, so how about JD's Roxy 3? Or you can use Javon, because Javon's always talking about this knife too. There's several others that talk about it. So I guess kind of, you can see them all. Hell with it. We'll just go with them all. Let's do this. I guess this is kind of blingy too, huh, for me anyhow. This is, all right, Battle of the Scrimps. Ready? All right, we'll try to do something like that. So we'll do like my initial, I got a couple notes over here. So believe it or not, sometimes I come somewhat prepared, but you can hear I'm gonna ramble anyhow. So this is a bonus video, so I don't expect everybody to watch it. But if you do, cool. If not, that's cool too, whatever. Let's do the made-ins. I think everybody already pretty much knows where Medfords are made. If you don't, you're an idiot. That's Chinese made from Wee. This is Chinese made from QSP, as far as I know. This is Taiwanese, and this is supposedly American made, the DPX test. You know, when you take these apart and look at them, you see signs of things that don't look like American made. And I ain't saying it's not American made, but if I was guessing, it's not, all of it's not American made, just a guess. It could be. But I'd be guessing that some of the parts inside are probably either Italian, because that's where they make the other ones. Line Steel makes those, either Italian or from another place. But I doubt this is 100% American. It might be. I don't know. I have my doubts. But still, they claim to be American made. So we'll just go with that. American made, American made, American made. And all the Medfords, of course, are American made. So get that out of the way. You know, varying costs here. And at first, like, I seen some of the prices of this Lamia's on the secondary, and they do get crazy because it's a knife craze on this. But like the list price on this one is pretty much in line with what you see in the higher end of the, like, the infractions. The RMP was never that expensive, but I don't know. Maybe the Marauders might be. I don't know. But anyway, it's on the higher end, so this is probably one of the more expensive ones. But as you kind of trickle in, like, they're all fairly expensive from what you're seeing on the table, with the exception of both the Chinese ones are fairly reasonable. And I think this was sub 3, and I think this was like just over 1, the 1.5, somewhere in that range, if you care. So like when I'm looking at the little guys, I have different tasks in mind for the little ones. So if I really I wanted one of these little knives and I wanted to do a real hard task with it, like what knife would I feel comfortable using? So obviously I have somewhat larger hands, kind of ridiculous at sometimes for the rest of my body, but I feel more comfortable with a knife that I can get a hold of and feel the hold of it. Not like I can't use it, because I use a steak knife every time, and then, you know, the steak knives are smaller diameter than that, most of them, like the handle wise, like not necessarily length, but, you know, the overall handle. But the one I really go to for is, like, if I'm using one of these little scrimps for hard cutting tasks, this guy right here. So you can see it's much thicker and robust, and I'm just gonna go with the one that, when Grumpy said this was a robust. So Grumpy said this little guy, which the Bradford, was a robust guy. So I'm gonna put them side by side. I can't see this in the camera, so that I'm kind of having trouble showing you guys. But this is what I consider robust. This is what he considered robust. So you can see the considerable difference there. It does come out in your hand. Like, you can definitely feel the difference. So when I put this one in my hand with that forward finger control and everything, like, I can get a good grip on it, and I feel like I'm still holding the knife. Like, I got a good grip on that. And, you know, if you want to choke up, I can get all the way to the tip on this thing, no problem at all. I just feel like this is a much more substantial knife for my hand size. So by far, if I'm taking one of these and doing a hard task with it, definitely going to be this guy right here. So I obviously haven't used either one of these in cutting tasks, so I can't really comment to what they can and can't do. I've only mildly used this one, and same honestly with the Ohio River Jack. But if I have a task, like, and I think I kind of sort of mentioned it in the main video from this week, but if I'm taking this bandage off and I need to get up into there, this knife is awesome to kind of get in there, scoot, and then cut up like that blade shape and this little blade style. Or it's great for that because I'm putting all the pressure that way on it. Nothing's going to come in, you know, and I'm not worried about the thing folding in on me. Everything's staying out. So it kind of works good for me in that role. And you can see, like, knife wise, I don't really have a whole lot of other knives. I guess maybe the Wii could probably get in there and do a similar task to it, but it's a much broader knife, so it's, you know, it's a different type of thing. So I don't really have a ton of tasks that I would use a small little guy for. When I did take a trip across the country for Blade Show last year on the Road King, I was constantly having to use zip ties and napkins. I had a little oil leak, kind of like those mechanics towels, the blue ones, whatever else. But I was constantly having to, like, make a little diaper for an oil line. And this little guy actually worked pretty good. It's been reground since then. But to get in there and, like, find tasks cutting through napkins on top of an oil line where you don't want to cut into the oil line, you just want to cut the stuff off the oil line, it worked pretty well for that. So this little guy actually came in handy for that. I don't know that I couldn't use any of the rest of those, but, you know, is what it is. But so, like, we'll move on to, like, the weight of things. And I think you could probably tell by all these, they're all titanium. So they all have more weight than what you would consider lightweight, or anybody would consider lightweight. But by far and large, I think this is the lightest one on the table. And this actually a pretty good size knife. And I don't know that I've ever looked inside this to see. I don't believe anything's actually lightened on it. So it's just a super light design. I don't really know how to get that knife as light as they are. The SPK is right beside it, and it's way lighter than the SPK, and it's noticeable in hand. And I'm just doing by the hand thing, so, you know, who knows, I could be off. Even this little guy right here, this is substantially heavier than the SPK and that weed, like, and it's a much smaller knife, like, you side by side, but this is definitely a more substantial knife. But you can also see that it's a, let's see if I can turn it, there you go, it's a much beefier blade stock and the titanium sticker. So this is a good little chunky guy. Let's compare this one too, why not? These are actually about the same weight wise, feel wise. This DPX is just a stout little guy. The Bradford's pretty close to blade stock wise. It looks like it's pretty close to titanium. Might be a little bit thinner on the titanium, but yeah, this test has a little bit of, to me, like, for a little guy, this neutral enough handle that I'm not doing serious work. I don't need that finger groove in there to, like, lock me in to try to do something. Like, I can choke up on this and feel pretty secure on this. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty good. But for some reason, this little guy, and I'll have to tuck a pinky, but when I tuck a pinky on the backside, and I guess I should show you from the handle side, it's basically a 3-finger knife, but I tuck the pinky on that backside to kind of hold it, and it actually, you know, it's fairly decent. You know, if I put my second finger there and choke up with these 3 fingers, I can put that right on the back. I mean, that's about as fine task of a knife as I need. I don't know where I'm even going with this video. Hopefully it'll make sense. Let's see. Oh yeah. So bearings knives, 1, 2, 3 bearing knives. So guess which ones are the most fun to fidget with? You guessed it, the ones with the bearings. They just have a certain feel to it. Like, if you're fidgeting, you like, depends on what you like out of a deployment method. So if you notice on most of these have thumb holes or slots or something like that. Like the one exception to basically all that is the thumb studs on the DPX test. Like, it's the one that, like, stands out as, to me, my favorite one to fidget with, probably because it's mine and I've had it longer than most of these. But that's a fun knife to fidget with. And this one is flipper only, the Bradford flipper only. I'm gonna put studs in this one, and we'll see if it changes up. I might have to change that detent a little bit in it to make it kind of tweak towards the thumb studs, because right now the detent's super strong, but it might work. I don't know, we just have to experiment a little bit. But predominantly these small knives go with the thumb holes, and I even mentioned in my other video, but like this SPK, I think the first couple times I picked it up to flip it, like to get my thumb in position in order to make it work, it took me a little bit of kind of figuring out where to put it in my hand to get it to work. And even still, I don't know if you could tell or not, I'm kind of sort of putting my hand in position and trying to make it work for it. Like, these little knives aren't as intuitive to me as the bigger knives. So, like, this is a huge heater, right? But I can just stick my hand on it and nothing to it. Like, this feels normal to me. Like, one-hand operation, everything about these bigger knives just feels much more natural to me. My hand goes to a natural position, even the little smaller the POW. It's super, just, I don't really have to think about it. I just kind of put my hand on the knife and go. So you guys that have a bunch of smaller knives and pick up a bigger knife, you're probably just the opposite. So I get that, why a lot of people stumble on knives they're not familiar with. I guess that's kind of why I'm doing this video. So the fidgetability for me, like this one's super fidgetable too, this Wii, because this has the whole, I'm suck at front flippers, but it's got the whole, I'll attempt it for you, why not? Oh, I got it, all right. So the front flipper, and then the finger and the fuller. I've discovered, I guess I should say, that the hole kind of gets a little bit sharp on me, but I've also discovered if I go down to the groove, if I slide my finger down here into that groove, that it works equally as well for me. So I don't know if everybody's that way or not, but for this particular one, I kind of dig it for what it is. But I'm kind of having a couple loaned in that are like the higher end stuff. I'm kind of getting into the whole little scrimp knife for the backup knife, and like I think I mentioned it. It's been a while back now, but like, so driving, I like fidget one of these things when I'm driving. But if you fidget with something like this, you can look at my steering wheel in the Dodge, and it's got a couple little nicks in it because blade might have hit it once or twice. Don't tell the old lady, even though she already pretty much knows and raises hell at me. But yeah, fidget with these big guys, sometimes you catch the wheel. Like, you know, it is what it is, right? So the Durango's my car or now pretty much at this point, so that you know, I don't have to worry about it. I can fidget one of these. But the work car, I try to take one of these little guys with me, have something little with me, so if I can fondle with it, and I ain't worried about hitting the steering wheel. It kind of sounds dumb as hell, but like, it's the honest truth. Y'all are knife addicts too. Y'all watching this shit, so like, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, you gonna fidget with a knife, so take a little one so you don't hit your steering wheel and get your wife all pissed at you like I did. Learn from my dumb ass. So flickability, like I think all of these have flickability characteristics. Of course, not the Ohio River Jack, but I guess I throwed it in here because like it's still part of this little small family for me. So like, what is this? 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 knives right here. That basically represent what I would call a smaller knife. I guess you can kind of sort of, yeah, this is kind of like the weave in and out of what people call full-size knives kind of thing. And I guess some people would call this a full-size knife. Some people might call this a full-size knife. This is stretching. This is maybe a full-size knife. But, you know, like, as a whole, like, I think everybody considers these smaller end of knives, right? They're not the bigger end of knives. They're the smaller end, at least medium or small, depending on where you are. All small to me. Where am I going in this? Let's go, let's see. I don't know. I guess having experienced all these, and they're vastly different, obviously, and blade shapes as well. I'm super impressed with the design of this Wii. Like, I really wish this company, the design company, not the maker, the design company, would do something made in America. I think they would be very successful in doing so if they did. This one's super neutral, this SPK. I don't really see the craze over why people go crazy over this knife. But I will say this. The maker of this knife must have the same kind of taste I do, as far as like, he don't like sharp edges. Like, this has sharp edges, that has sharp edges. To some extent, this has a couple. This is pretty smooth too. But this one, like, even the thumb hole and stuff, it's all chamfered. Like, there's no really sharp edges except for what's supposed to be sharp, which is the actual edge. Like, I have a very similar feel in hand. Like, even this RMP, you can see I've done work on it, but it's the same way. Like, there's no really sharp edges. You can run your hand all the way across this thing. It's even why, if you notice this little groove where the stop pin goes, I made it smaller on my side because this side's kind of pokier, so I wanted more meat there so it doesn't feel pokey. Like, it's the same. You have to have it in hand to feel it, but that's the same kind of thing I like to do. So I like the way he did that. At this point, man, I'm rambling. If y'all even watch this, I'm super, super stoked that you at least listen to my dumb ass talk about knives that are completely out of my wheelhouse. I think I'm just gonna call it. There's a bonus video over the week. I probably won't post this until, I don't know, may do it tonight after my rain video, and I may do it, I don't know, may do it Wednesday or something. I don't know. Bonus video. Call it. That'll be cool. Thanks for watching.